and we had an issue last time.
That's right. That's right. I
There
remember.
we go. So we are now live here. So we need to wait for that to happen, and then that should get picked up over on LinkedIn. There we go. Okay, I'm going to mute that for myself. And we are live on LinkedIn. And so then I'm going to wait another couple minutes, and then I'll actually push us live
Okay.
on LinkedIn. Actually, hit the go live button. And I figure we'll just kind of, maybe as we get more into this, we'll get a little bit more prepared before each episode so that we have a little bit of a tighter idea of what's going on. But there could be some benefit from kind of just having these discussions on the fly too.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
too
I
worried
agree.
about it.
No, we'll be okay. We'll choose a route and then we'll just follow it and see how fruitful it is.
Right. We'll choose an endpoint.
Yeah, we'll choose an endpoint exactly. This is exciting. I love starting a new app. It's the best feeling.
It hasn't gotten bogged down with technical debt and
Yeah, totally.
over complexity and hacks to get around problems that you just don't know how to solve.
Right now, everything is possible.
It's all perfect.
It's
It's
all
all
promise.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. It's all perfect.
I'm really excited to dig into like the learning part of it, like writing the backend API inside of Next, and a whole bunch of front end stuff and everything else that we decide to put in here. I'm genuinely interested and excited about the learning, just digging into these new things. But
Yeah, I totally dig. I made a change recently, by the way. As my primary browser, I've switched to Mozilla or to Firefox. I mean,
oh, okay,
uh,
yeah, they have really good
as
developer
opposed
tools. I
to
know that.
they do, and I'm hoping it doesn't cause any problems. I don't think it will, but they even have a developer edition of their browser.
Oh, I might have to check
So there's like the standard
Mozilla back
one.
out again. Okay, I'm gonna hit us. I'm gonna send us live.
Yeah, do it.
I will be out there a couple minutes early. Okay, we are streaming. We're actually inside of our appropriate uh, um, event this time, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Because
Always good to be in the right place.
yeah. And let's see. There. So anybody that's watching us can join the chat in Huddle. Make sure I have that open. Oh, I think I need to. I need to make you a co-host.
Oh, yes.
There we go. Cool. Host, co-host, chat, participants.
Okay. I love Friday morning.
Will have to be manually admitted. No, I don't want people manually admitted. Room has been unlocked. Maybe that was a problem before. I don't know. Some of these room options, the host controls, are written in the positive and some are written in the negative. So it's like, which one do I want
Oh, that's
enabled
confusing.
versus disabled?
You ever run into those on job applications? You know how they always ask
Oh,
you, "Are you legally authorized to work in the country for the job you're applying
yeah.
for?" And then I noticed that the follow-up question, will you ever need someone to sponsor your visa? Sometimes that is also written in the negative. So, like, I would have to give opposite answer, yes or no, depending on the way it's worded.
Uh-huh.
Which is silly to me in terms of of like a standard of how to answer that question.
Yeah.
We all have
Oh,
to answer it one
this
way or another.
this says there's 6 people,
All right.
which is exciting. But I don't. I'm not hearing from anybody else in anywhere. Like if you're on the LinkedIn, say hi. Don't just be a creeper sitting in the back of the room. Let us know who you are. Let's just say hi.
Oh man. You know, we were just talking about how at the beginning of a new application, everything's possible. It's all perfect. It's promise. I feel
Uh-huh.
that Friday mornings are the same to me.
Yeah.
I guess you have work. Yes, it's a weekday, but you're really at the outset of the weekend. Anything could happen for this weekend. It's all open.
There you go. It's a very
You're not
optimistic,
returning to
positive
Monday
view. I like that.
yet. Hey, that's a Friday view. That's a Friday
Yeah,
morning view.
Fridays are good. Fridays are good for sure.
Check in with me on Monday morning.
Yeah. See. I know they have some. See. They got virtual backgrounds, yes, but I know they also have somewhere in here there was like a countdown or different stuff like
Oh,
that.
really? Oh,
Yeah, I thought so. Somewhere. I'm not seeing it at the moment now, but that's okay.
I see. So
We're
you
not
have
that
two.
fancy anyways.
No, no, not yet. At least give us time. Do you have two drum sets behind you?
I do.
How many are you
Yes.
working?
Yeah,
What's
so
the difference between them?
well, that one this one is custom.
Mm.
Except for the
Oh,
snare
okay.
drum. The snare drum belongs with that one. These are actually like polar opposites because the little blue one is the Questlove kit. It's a little
I was gonna
travel
say
bot kit.
no tom. Well, you've got the floor tom and the
Yeah.
rack, I guess, but it doesn't look as big. It looks
No,
nice.
it's not. And it's got like a 16-inch bass drum. It's super tiny. It's meant
Ah.
to just be a little like it cost like somewhere right around $400 for the whole set, right?
Oh,
With the
nice.
blue snare. So the and for that price, those drums actually tune up pretty well, which you cannot say for every cheap drum set. So I got that for like really easy travel theater gigs or like small
Mm,
rooms, like where just like a bigger bass drum just is too much.
mm.
And I set it up in here because it's smaller, takes up a smaller footprint. This guy is my custom kit that I had built a few years ago. I got to pick out like what kind of wood, the layers, everything about it.
Ooh.
I didn't go super high, but I had the ability to actually layer. I got all the sizing on the toms. There's a fourth tom in the closet, so it's got two rack, two floor, um, 20-inch bass drum. And the thing that I wanted most is the toms are rack mounted off of the cymbal stands, and there's no post.
Oh.
There's no post out of the bass drum, and
One
that
less
is
piece of big equipment to carry around, huh?
well, it's a piece of hardware. I mean, the hardware is up on the you still have to carry some hardware, but the fact that each tom can be moved completely independently. You can adjust it and position it
Mm,
entirely
mm.
independently of where you have the bass drum, which is not possible when you have that post that comes out of the bass drum.
I
And
see, I
I
see.
have wanted this type of a setup like since I bought my first drum set, and I just could never get my toms exactly where I wanted them to be. So like that piece alone is a game changer for comfort on an instrument.
That's awesome. I love seeing your signature kit. Where can we, expect to see this in stores? Is this a Guitar Center item, or do we,
No, no, it is not. And actually, the company that made it like changed their name.
Mm,
It was a local Minneapolis company, and at the time they were in the middle of changing their name, so they didn't even brand the drum set. Like usually they would have like a nameplate, like a named a piece of metal with their name on it, right?
oh,
That they
sure.
would put on every drum to say, this company made this drum, but they're not even branded, so they look like super clean. I love them. They're great drums. They sound
They
fantastic.
look beautiful. I'm sure they
Yeah,
sound great too.
yeah. I love them. I was gonna ask you last time, just because we're on this subject, your basses. What do you play?
Oh, I've got about 3 basses that are my main squeezes. I'll show you my main bass right now. This is, Fender Jazz Bass. I just replaced the pick guard. Look at
Nice.
that beautiful look.
What is that? What is that on there?
It's a couple fish. It's like a
Oh,
koi, I
oh,
think.
oh, cool with the roses and stuff. That is pretty. I like it.
Yeah. This is my baby though. I've had this since college. I come from a musical family. My dad used to give lessons to an older gentleman, and he noticed I didn't have my own bass yet. This older man, and he played just for fun. So he noticed I didn't have my own equipment for anything. So he bought himself a new setup that was lighter, both amp and bass. And he said, "What about Courtney? Does he need a bass and an amp?" And so he gave me his 12-inch speaker and then this bass, and it's just like the best bass I've ever played. I've bought and traded many others since then, but this is the one that always sticks with me.
Nice.
4 strings, it's all you need. Although I do have a 5 and a 6 string too.
Oh, you do have a six. Okay, because I see the five, and I feel like in modern music, a five is very necessary.
There's 6 right there.
Oh, nice. What
Beautiful.
what
It's heavy, and
what
5
brand
is right
what
behind
brands
me
are
also.
those? What brands are the five and the six?
The 5 is it's a Music Man, but it's like their
Okay.
Sterling model, so not as not as nice, I guess, as the American made expensive ones, but it sounds great. And then the six string, I'm not gonna pick it up because it's so heavy. Is it's an Ibanez. It's part of their
Ooh,
B2B line, I think.
nice.
Beautiful sound, beautiful, beautiful sound.
Yeah, nice. Who do you follow that does six string playing? Who's a player?
There's like Thundercat. A lot of the gospel guys play on six strings also.
Really? Okay.
And it's, I mean, everybody plays on everything at this point.
Yeah.
Anyone professional at least.
Yeah. I mean, I hear six string bass, and my mind instantly just goes to John Mayung from Dream Theater because that's like
Oh yeah,
my entire high school experience was just listening to Dream Theater records constantly.
yeah. My wife says that she thinks I should just get a guitar since I play the six string and I'm playing chords on there all the time.
No, you go to guitar and then you got to get an eight string.
Oh my gosh, I know. No, no,
I'm a big fan
bass
of
for life.
Animals as Leaders, so I love the thumpy, plucky uh, eight string stuff. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
familiar
that's
with them or not, but
I'm not familiar with them, but
okay.
I've seen eight string guitars. I've seen. I mean, you know, you go to the right music store, you can see some very interesting arrangements of strings on bass or guitar.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to talk music one of these times, like favorite bands and genres and stuff, because
Oh, I'd love it.
I'd
Yeah,
love to see the difference and the overlap between because we haven't actually talked about like what music do you like. We'll save it for
that's
another
actually a good
time.
point.
We'll
We've
use it for
actually focused entirely on when we talked about before. I think just like our professional lives as musicians,
yeah, yeah,
but not our preferences. Next
yeah.
time.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe we have to start a segment where we could take like 10 minutes or something and share a song that we're listening to this week or something, or an artist or something.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be super
Okay,
fun.
okay.
Cause I'm always
You're
listening to
writing that
stuff while
down.
I'm coding, so
Same, same. Not everyone can. And I
no.
can't do it during every task, but if I'm doing kind of things that I've already learned and memorized, I can kind of just put it on in the background and move. But if I'm reading docs, whew, no, I got to turn everything off.
Yeah. I used to be that way. I've gotten to the point where the music just fades into the background. And it
Mm.
used to be that I could only listen to electronic stuff because the drums are it's just right.
Right.
So it's super simple. So my mind doesn't start thinking about what's going on. But in the last like year or so, I've actually gone over to listening to like cool fusion guitar, all kinds of stuff that I like love listening to.
Mm.
Um, and it doesn't bother me anymore, which is really awesome.
So you still stick with like with lyricless music, instrumental mostly?
Not exclusively, but I tend to just like instrumental music more so. But that's not exclusively what I listen to. I have listened to bands with singers in them too, and that doesn't bother me as much. What does bother me is using the free version of Spotify and then having music play and then hitting an ad. And that ad just like breaks all
It's
sense of
jarring, isn't it?
concentration. So I have to do just like really long YouTube playlists that don't have ads on them.
That's a good idea.
Okay, well that was fun. Um, we'll do more music talk. We still have our all 9 of our viewers as of right now, so the music talk did not scare anybody away. Let's see what the
Maybe we
develop
should be a music stream.
music podcast. We'll switch.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll yeah. Okay, so when we last left things off, we had a broken version of Create Next App and that stalled us out entirely. We now have a functioning program and boilerplate on which to work, and we're going to get started building a to-do app. And the reason we're doing a to-do app is because it's going to work as a good vehicle to like conceptually be simple, but allow us to experiment and try out and build some things and practice some different elements of development um, that we want to do. So the point is not the to do app. The point is what we're using the to do app to learn. Um, yeah. So we were discussing before. Where did we end up settling? How do we want to start out here? Do we want to start out UI?
Um, yeah, I think we should start out with UI, and then we can, as we need it, we can transition to developing the API alongside that,
Okay.
and then maybe even before all that, we should clear out our app.
Yeah.
We can show everyone what a brand new Next app looks like. I'm sure a lot of people already
Yeah.
know.
Do you want to
Uh,
do the honors or do you want me to take the helm on that one? It doesn't matter to me.
Here, no, I'll go ahead and share. Let's
Sure,
hope
great.
that this works. I was telling Spencer before this that I have, oh gosh, select window or screen. I've switched to a new browser. I'm no longer using Chrome. I felt like it was taking up too much of my RAM on my computer, frankly. And so I'm switching to Firefox just to see how I like it. And sorry, let's see. So one wrinkle that comes with that is now that I'm sharing screen, I'm looking to find the correct screen to share. Okay, so screen one, screen two. Perfect. And so with that, I have to adjust a whole bunch of settings to make sure that Firefox has access to my screen, which I'm giving it right now. Um, so listen, Spencer, I'm probably gonna have to quit and reopen here real quick if I want to share my screen.
Really?
Everyone at home? Yeah, it's saying to change this permission, I have to quit the browser and reopen it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Actually, hold on a sec.
I can
Before
fly
I do
solo
that,
for a minute. That's fine.
let me see if this actually just works. Sometimes, oh, here we go. Ha! They told me I had to quit and reopen.
Ha!
Incorrect.
Got him.
Okay, so when you open up a new Next app, it's set up to basically show Vercel's Next branding, but it's also useful. You can link to the docs, to other templates, to how to deploy, and all that kind of good stuff. But we don't need this. This isn't what our app is about or what it looks like. So I'll navigate back to my code. And let's go into our folder structure and to the home page. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can just delete all this stuff in the middle.
Yeah, I think
Oops.
if you keep the main tag, then we should be just fine.
And let's see. Let's update this. Okay. Well, nothing should be showing up, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Okay. So we were talking about creating a to-do list, and what would be the first thing that we need to create for a to-do list? I guess we could talk about like the strategy for how to start this, right? Um, we could just build this on the homepage itself, uh, but perhaps we want to actually make a new route and start our to-do list within like a to-do route. Does that feel right to you, or do you have opinions?
Yeah, I was thinking that, um, the vision that I had was that eventually this app would have like multiple pages and multiple toy apps that we would use to, we'd have a to-do list and then, who knows what else. So I think with that in mind from the beginning, just starting each new app on its own route and page,
Okay.
just to segment it from the very beginning makes sense to me.
Okay, let's do that then. So, in honor of that, I will make the first new folder. One thing about Next I really like the routing is essentially handled through the folder structure. Um, those of you out there that have used React before and used React Router probably appreciate this to some degree. So we'll call it to do, and then inside of this new folder, we'll need a new page.tsx file, and I'll go ahead.
And
I
the
don't
the
know.
page, the name page.tsx matters, right?
It does. That indicates that
Like
that is
the root
essentially
or the
the component
index.
page. Yeah, exactly for this particular route.
Yeah, that's the thing with Next is there's a lot of like things are named specifically, right? And then you can also go into like dynamically named routes and components as well. Something to do with an underscore at the beginning, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Other sorts of other conventions that I think would be that'll be worth looking into at some point. I'll bring it up at the moment, actually.
Yeah, and that's something we're probably going to be exploring, or at least doing
Absolutely.
a lot as we
Well,
complete these pages.
especially once we get into adding authentication. I want to do something with authentication eventually and seeing how Next handles authenticating and like auth guarding different routes.
Yes. And so a little sneak preview of all the things we're going to do here. Um, One thing I'm actually really bad at, I think, when I'm building is really going step by step and making sure things are working at every single step. I think sometimes I have this desire to really just build a lot But then what happens is you end up building some things that don't work as well. You got to spend a lot of time debugging instead. So, uh, in honor of that, let's just say this works, and let's see if this text even appears on our page. So you'll notice I haven't navigated to the to-do route yet. But if I do, hey, this does work.
So
It's
that makes
officially
me
now.
think that we should add a routing UI to the home page so that we can go from home page to this route very easily.
Okay. Okay. Um, so another thing I wanted to talk about. So Spencer, we had spoken before about what our GitHub strategy is, our version
Yeah.
control strategy, rather. And I'm already noticing I haven't even branched off of the main branch yet. So let me actually add these changes. Say created to do route and page. I'll push these up. Luckily, we haven't done too much yet, so this is not too complicated. But from here, I will actually create a separate branch, and the idea is that we'll branch off. So we were talking about adopting a trunk workflow, and if I understand correctly, the trunk workflow is that you have one main branch, and everybody pulls. They create new branches off of that main branch and do small changes that are then pulled into the main one. Does that sound right?
Yeah, yeah. And I was
Okay.
thinking that the way we could do this is we have the main branch, and then we each have our own branch, and then
Okay.
we can do whatever changes we want. So like I can maybe code along over here at the same time as you're making something if we both want to practice the same thing. But then our branch differences or changes and whatnot aren't going to interfere because we'll just end up taking whatever we push to master, and then you can pull down from master. You can merge. We can talk about all that. It's good Git practice just in general too. So
Okay.
I like
So
the idea
we're,
of just working on our own branches.
I like that too. And so you're essentially saying off of master, we'd have like Court and Spencer, and then we don't need to make more sub branches. Is that right? We don't need to like do
Not
an
for now, at least.
API that I then yeah. Okay.
Nah, probably not for now, at least. Because we'll only be really working on one thing at a time. We're not going to be like double teaming the project, right? I'm going front end, you're going back end, and then we meet back again. We're trying to do everything together for the learning piece of it. So I don't
Okay.
think we're going to have that kind of a issue or complex of a Git tree.
Okay. Well, cool. In that case, I've issued this command and basically created another branch off of the master branch that is now named Court. This will be my branch. Surprise. And now we were talking about creating a link to the to-do route. Is that right? From the home page. You can get rid of this image. We don't need that anymore. Um, you know, I'm actually not sure. Like, what is the usual strategy for doing this from the home page? I think I've used links before, like from. So it would be something like from. I want to say it's next.
Link.
Is it link? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
I'm
And
looking at the
actually,
docs here. Actually, I was looking that up myself.
oops. And I actually think I don't need the brackets. Nope.
Nope, don't need the brackets
Is it default export?
because you're going straight from next link.
Oh, I see. I see.
And I'm
That's
sure
good
that's
to
the
know.
default export of it, but you're being very specific about where you're going. If it was just pulling out of next, then I think
Hmm.
you would have to do a bracketed import.
Let me just try that real quick. I'm just curious if that's how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
Or
that's
bracket it.
so. I was speaking more hypothetically about if that's the
Okay.
structure of the library, right? There, because some are that way, where you just pull everything straight out of, let's say, React, right? Like when you do React from React, use effect, use state, use ref, all of those come straight out of just React, and that's why like use state and use effect and all of those have to be bracketed because though everything's coming from the same export,
Okay.
but only one of them can be the default export, which is React, and then everything else is coming back to you in an object.
And I think to explain what we're doing a bit here, we're basically creating a route from the home page with which we can easily click and navigate to our to-do app. So we don't have to navigate from the URL, which is not how we envisioned, and that's certainly not how I envisioned, but I'm sure same for you, Spencer,
Yeah,
how people will navigate through this app. So as you can see, we've created a link, gives you the little pointer finger, you click on it, and now we're in the to-do route, looking at the to-do
beautiful.
page. So I will go ahead and commit and push that up to my branch. And I guess, do we pull requests so that you can then pull that down yourself? Feels a little
Uh,
early, huh?
yeah, I guess that is the one issue with having separate branches is then having to go through the extra step of like doing a pull request and merging into, or since it's just the two of us and this is not best practice, you could just merge it into main and then I can pull from main
Okay, okay.
and then I can rebranch my own. I don't know. That's faster for our purposes. That's not what I would do on an actual project.
Well, I tell you what, let's do it like this. I'll do a few more commits, and then I can pass controls over to you. At
Sure.
that point, we'll go through a pull request, and people could see what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah. I'll have
Okay,
GitHub open and ready to go.
okay, excellent. Okay, so now we're back to our to do list page, and so what is a to do list, right? It's a set of to do items that are on this page. Let me think about how we want to actually do this. We'll probably want to create like an input of sorts, like something that I can enter text into, and then an associated button that will then add each to-do list item to the list. Does that
Yeah.
sound
Yeah. The
right?
form.
And then we also have to have the list itself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
okay,
So we'll have to
so
have a form. We can make a form component, um, or we can make. Yeah. So then we have to think about how we want to structure the different components. If we're not going to put this all just into like one giant component here. Um, so
how
there's
would you feel
the
about creating the giant component, but then taking time after to sort of refactor and set up a separate component?
yeah, we can do that.
Just okay, okay, cool. Um, okay, so we know this works. Don't need this anymore. Um, so I guess what I'll do is I'll start with the form. And basically, what we're talking about is that we're going to make this form component inside this to do page, but I think eventually we'll refactor, reset this code so that the form itself will be a separate component that can be imported to different pages because we'll probably use forms multiple times throughout this application. And so, what goes inside our form component? I guess it's input here. I don't know how you usually structure yours, but because inputs have so many properties, I like to do the kind of vertical thing. Our input is going to have text inside of it. Um, let's actually just check that that's working okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I am typing now and I'm not seeing anything. Ah, okay. So
Styling.
I think I know what's happening. Styling, yes. You always run into this. So right now, it looks like text is white. And the only way you can see what I'm typing here is if I highlight everything, because that will change the actual color essentially. So what we need to do, we need to actually make a design decision, I suppose. I'm not even sure where the color is being set from. Is that in our global CSS?
Um, I'm gonna say, let's see. So let me look at the
Yeah, here,
structure on my
color,
side.
foreground RGB. What is foreground RGB? That is white.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Now
what we could do,
let's look in the let's see. I'm looking in the Tailwind config for a second. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So that's just there's a background image and there's some other imports in there. Okay. I'm trying. I want to make sure that we're uh changing our styling at the right level.
right. Because what I could do, and this would be easy, but perhaps not the greatest design decision, is I could just say class name. Um, oh gosh, I can't even remember what the. Here, I'm going to show you all what I would do.
I think it's just going to
Go.
be Is it? Oh,
Tailwind text color.
I think it's just text, and then
Is it just text? And
text
then you
hy
put
text
the
hyphen
color.
color, yeah, yep.
Okay,
I've been doing so much
gotcha.
Bootstrap lately, as I had mentioned to you before the stream, that, my Tailwind is a little bit, rusty.
So I could just do this, and it would change the color. But I think maybe we'd run into problems. We were talking about how difficult it can be to organize one CSS, all the styling, to avoid later on having to do all kinds of sort of spaghetti CSS. I think maybe we can adopt a different strategy here. Though this does work for the short term. I don't know. Do you have ideas on how best to handle like text color? Because
I'm
we
thinking
haven't even really talked about if we like this color scheme and all that, and maybe that's a discussion for a different day.
right, yeah. I'm I'm looking at global CSS, and I think what I would do is that I would pull, um, all of this out of here except for those Tailwind imports, um,
Okay,
and
so
then
everything
I
below.
would work at defining any globals inside of the
Okay.
Tailwind config, because that's going to do the same thing, but then that'll, put that into Tailwind. So then we can put a custom thing in there, like, we could say like text primary and define that as a color inside of the Tailwind config, and then
Oh, okay.
that'll just create a utility class for us, and then we can just use text primary as whatever and then we can do a background color on the body, but just doing everything through Tailwind instead of, having these root variables and stuff in here too.
That makes sense. So, so what I've done then, I haven't fully deleted it yet, but I've commented everything out. So none of these default stylings that Next apps come with are online right now, which means that now we have a more blank canvas to work with. How familiar are you with configuring Tailwind from this config
Uh,
file? Because I've done some things, but I'm not super familiar myself.
I used to be pretty quick with it. It's been, like I said, it's been a little while since I've been there, but I did quite a bit of, uh, configuring of the config, a while back. Let's see.
Okay, so you were talking about creating variables like text color or primary color or something like that. Um, where does that work into to this file structure or this config
Yeah.
file? I'm assuming
So,
it'll be something on the level of background image.
yeah. So
Am
I'm
I right?
looking in the, at the docs right now. So, so we have theme. Inside of theme, you want to create a new. Is it a property? Is that technically or is it a field? What
Property, I think.
is it a
Yeah.
property inside the object? Okay. So inside of theme,
Okay.
so on the same
Inside of
level as
theme.
extended, probably go at the top. The extended stuff is usually towards the bottom because that's more
Okay.
specialized. Yeah, right there. Make, colors and make that an object, and then, make a string, as your new property, and call it primary,
Okay.
and then, as a string again, then you can put whatever. Um,
Like a hex code or
you can
something
put a
like that.
hex code in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can even do like HSL and that kind of stuff as well, if I'm not mistaken. But,
Okay. Do we want to take the time to actually choose like a color scheme?
um, we could if we want, or we could, yeah, if you want to just grab a quick color just to finish that. It doesn't even have to look good or be our final choice or anything. But
Let's see.
yeah, you cooler,
Okay.
nice.
We'll accept their cookies, but
Oh, there
only
are
because.
themes actually. Tailwind has a whole bunch of custom themes that you can just bring in too.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Oh, that might be
yeah,
nice to do.
I'm just remember like, yeah, it's all coming back to me now.
Tailwind themes. Let's do color themes.
Those preset themes.
Let's do preset color themes.
Maybe, theme.
Customizing colors. Oh, okay. I see.
So those are all the colors that are available within Tailwind for access. But then, there are also just, uh,
Meaning I could just write. I could write hold on. Where were we on this to do app? I could write text green 800 or something like that, and I would
Right.
get
And you
this
would get,
screen right here.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of colors that are available inside, but then you can also grab a theme that will give you like a primary, secondary, tertiary, um, that's all predetermined. And now I'm struggling to find exactly where those themes exist,
I tell you what,
but
in
maybe
an
we do
effort
that
to
off screen.
just yeah, maybe we can either take time next week to do that,
Yeah, let's keep going.
or just do it off screen. I think what we really needed to do was what we did inside of here, which is get rid of all the pre-built themes and just start with something more blank. Um,
Yeah.
One thing I'll point out too, I'll leave this as is for now because we'll come and configure some more. But when you change the config file, you'll notice that I'm getting an issue here on our page, and that's because you have to actually manually restart.
Ah, yes, that's right too. Yep.
Usually, next hot reloads when we make these changes, but in the case of a config file, you have to actually shut it down and then restart it from the beginning. Okay, so things are still working. That's good to see. We still have this here. I'm going to go ahead now that we're on a white screen and give a border to our input, just so I can actually see it. So once again, border property.
It should just be like border and then border hyphen color, border 1,
Okay, I see.
or border
Border
2
one.
is
Let's
going to
try to
give you the
put.
2 pixels. Border 1 may or may not be possible. No, I don't think it
Hmm.
is. You could go border hyphen square bracket 1 pixel square bracket.
Oh, I see. I see. So, so this is like a pre-built class, but if I do this,
Then you could put
this
whatever you
basically
want in
means
there.
right.
Yeah, I love it.
Do that.
I
Okay,
love Tailwind so much. It's so
perfect.
flexible.
It's very easy. It's very easy to use. very. It's somewhat intuitive too. Once you've gotten the hang of actually how these classes work. Okay, so great. We have our input. That's plenty of work to do. Okay, so we have an input. We can input text into it already. But what do we need to do? Well, we'll need a button, right, to submit said input, and then eventually we'll need to actually be creating something when we input. We actually need these to do items once I press submit to actually add to
And
our list.
yeah,
So for now, I'll go ahead and put a button in here. I'm gonna give it type equals submit. That tells the button to behave as a submit button. Oops. And we will say submit. Okay. I'll go ahead and take this moment to commit. I don't know what you were told, but in my boot camp, they told us to commit early and often. That way you have a lot of control over your versions.
yeah, I'm terrible at atomic committing. I I'm always shooting for like a functioning complete thing before I commit anything, so that I can like
Mm.
fix mistakes and then commit something that I know is working. Um, that's definitely a practice that I need to be better about.
I think most people are really bad at the, would you call it atomic committing?
Yeah.
I'm not particularly great at it either, but I do find myself catching myself more these days when I'm building things. Okay, so if I am, oh, this button will have to give an outline too as well. So this is our button, you can tell, because the pointer finger, the little Mickey Mouse glove comes up. Uh, Submitting. If I do this, look at that, it does submit. You notice that it refreshed the page too. So there are some things that we will have to do. Inside the form, I'm going to go ahead and set up the onSubmit function. Um, the reason is we want to prevent our page from resetting like that. This is since we're building a single page application. The idea is that this framework will handle the re-renders and when there are changes made to our DOM, our virtual DOM. And so instead, traditional web pages, you make a change and it reloads the whole page with that change. We don't want that. That's not behavior anyone's used to anymore. Um, so in that spirit, this is E for event. Uh, on the submit event, we're going to do E prevents default. All that does is prevent that refresh from happening.
I remember when I first discovered the E object, the event object on stuff, um, and it just like blew my mind about how much information about your app you have at your disposal inside of the event object.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, that is a deep rabbit hole, especially when you get into typing using TypeScript. I mean, the kinds of information that you're getting.
Mhm.
Uh, um,
What did you I'm gonna wait until you're unfrozen here. You're currently frozen on my
from
screen.
an event because there's so many different. Talk about. Oh, am I back?
There you go. Yeah, you paused there for a hot second.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm back. So this is what I did. Inside of so for React applications, and by that virtue, Next forms have an onSubmit property, and you can pass a function into the onSubmit property that essentially handles what happens when you submit, or you can cause some sort of behavior to happen. And I just passed in an anonymous function, meaning it wasn't named and stored. It just exists right here. As one of the arguments, I pass in the event itself, and then from the event, I'm calling prevent default, and what that does is prevent the actual reload of the page, like we talked about. Now, one other thing just happened, which is we we got this error when I did that, and what it's saying is event handlers cannot be passed to client component props. Um, And so basically, I think what the problem is, and what I found out it is that you need this use client tag. Um, I believe this is a React concept, not just a Next concept. Or maybe it's actually, I don't know. Do you know that? Is use client a Next thing?
That's a next thing because React itself is a
Hmm.
client side framework, and Next defaults to be a server side. It's SSR, right? Server side rendering, right? So it's
Right.
rendering on
Yeah.
the server and then sending to the client by default. But a lot of React tricks and stuff patterns we learn are all client side specific.
Mm.
I definitely ran into a bunch of this issue when I first started using Nuxt, which is the Vue
Huh.
equivalent to Next, and that's also server side rendered. And a lot of certain libraries and packages that you use on the client side do not run on the server side. So knowing this little trick would have saved me a whole lot of pain a while back.
Of
But yes,
course, of
so
course.
you're forcing it over to run this component only on the client side.
Exactly. Yeah. Its default being a server component. Is that how? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've marked it as use client at the top of the page, and now it knows to actually render as a client component. And I type in something, and when I press submit, you notice no refresh. That's great. That's what we want. Okay, let me go ahead and commit. And I was thinking, how about I pass this over to you, Spencer? How do you feel about that?
Sure.
Okay, let's just name this added use client tag and on submit behavior to form. I'm going to push these up to GitHub, and then let me pull this GitHub over. One thing I love about GitHub, it knows when you've pushed something up, and it's very quick. 2 seconds ago, faster than I. I'm a big fan of writing detailed pull requests, but in an effort to not get too bogged down in that, I'll just say that I'm not going to pass anything. I'll give it a title.
Sure.
We'll say uh, Tailwind config and to do app. I'm going to create the pull request, Now, when you're working with other people, good best practice is definitely to have someone else merge the pull request. Do you want to handle that, or should I just
You're right there. Just
merge
go
it right
for it.
now?
Yeah.
All right,
I think it'd be fun at
I've
some
merged
point,
through the
maybe
door.
once we get a bit more complex,
Hmm,
to maybe do some like code review and go through that process. At the moment, let's see if we can just kind of fly through a few things.
sounds good. And so, with that in mind, I'll go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll let Spencer pick up the code where I left off.
Okay. And I'll try and do my best job. Let's see.
That's all we ask.
Okay. So I just did the git pull on the master branch here. And let's see if I come over here to do app. And this is, yep, we have all those changes already here. Fantastic. So then I will make my own branch. And then
Ooh, what is get switch? I've never used that command before.
it's the modern version of checkout. It was a
Okay.
method for because checkout does a lot inside of Git, and so
Mm.
Git switch, you switch to your branch, right, instead of Git checkout branch. And I started using it when I
Does it
learned
create a
about it.
branch too,
No, it's not as
or did you
versatile as
already
Git
have one?
branch. No, I did Git branch
Oh,
Spencer, so that created my branch off of
okay, okay.
the branch I was currently on, and then I Git switch. So we're using slightly different Git methods, but um, there's nothing wrong or right about it. It's just
That's good to know. You know what's funny? I knew that it worked, but I never knew what specifically I was doing when I was saying git checkout dash b and then entering a new branch name. That makes sense though.
yeah. Checkout does so much. That's why you're adding the dash B, because then you're selecting like the branch functionality of checkout.
Ah,
But
okay.
if you look into it, I don't know everything off the top of my head, but Git checkout, that thing can go and do all manner of different functions within Git. Okay, so let's see. So we've got an input, we've got a submit button, and we've got prevent default happening. So I was thinking about adding a label. And let's see, how do we, I guess I should have looked this up beforehand. Is this, I'm going to look up
Let's
the
see.
label element really quickly here just to,
Okay.
um, yeah, so if we name this, let's see, if we add a name here for, let's say, task, or, yeah, I'll call it task for the moment. Then we give it this a for task, I believe, or is it? No, it's the ID, isn't it? I can never remember which.
Let's see.
Not
All
assignable
right, I'm
to
responding to
trade.
some of our comments here.
Oh, we actually have comments now. That's cool. Awesome. I've been
We have
checking it. I
a
didn't
few.
see anything, but that's awesome. Maybe I need to refresh. Maybe that's what's going on. Label for.
Okay.
What's
Yes.
wrong with what
So
I'm
you name
trying
a
to do?
task. Okay.
Um.
Type for string assignment.
Oh, okay. Because no,
Oh, maybe just that you didn't have any
no, no,
string in
no.
there.
Label. I'm looking at the. This is one thing that I
Oh,
do need
it
to
might
learn
not
more
be
about.
for. It might be. I
Well,
think it's a different property name in React potentially.
is it okay? Because I'm looking at the
Um,
HTML on MDN, and it's definitely, it says here for.
yeah, that's definitely the vanilla HTML, if
Okay.
you will. But here, let me see. React for property on label. Uh, Taking a look here. Oh, it's HTML capital F for.
Really?
Yeah.
HTML4. Oh, interesting. Okay, so see, now I'm learning something already. I'm glad I decided to do that because um, label and I think these are terrible names. Task. I don't know if we want like do we want to do like task name? No, it's not. Well, we haven't actually defined what this input is going to take in for us actually. So maybe um, this is task name. Oops. And this is where I look like a scrub with my NeoVim movements, but um, task name. So we're gonna have a name for our to-do item, maybe. I want to handle
Okay.
multiple pieces of state, so I don't know how we want to figure out how to use multiple pieces of state here, but task body, maybe.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. Body being the
oops.
actual task itself.
Yeah.
Pick up cabbage from the market.
And I don't know if a name. I mean, to-do apps, putting stuff in a name isn't necessarily a convention, but let's go ahead and check that out over here. So now we have task name and yep, cutter tag task body. We'll update this and whatnot. We're on the fly right now, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we've got two pieces of state: task name, task body. Submit. Uh, Also, something I'm already realizing here is that we need to. Are you using Prettier in your VS Code?
I'm not, but I'm generally pretty good about formatting things as I
Okay.
go. That's probably not efficient, but
Because
you know,
I
it is what it
use
is.
I use Prettier for sure, and it's already reformatted some of the stuff. What we need to do is we need to set up a Prettier RC because this is something I battle on projects all the time. Is that you use one format for formatting, I use a different. Then every time I pull down from your
Mm-hmm.
thing and I save, and then it's gonna like reformat on save, and it's a mess. So we'll have to set up a Prettier RC as part of what we do, just so that both of our IDEs are gonna um, format everything the same way so we don't run into having to reformat constantly when we're pulling each other's changes.
That makes
Um,
sense.
okay, so we've got two pieces of state. So then we actually need to handle that state, right? That's kind of the next thing
Yes,
in
which
my mind.
means we'll probably have. Yeah, we need to. So this is an idea. I think what we're about to do is essentially start controlling the inputs, the value of the inputs. There's this concept of controlled versus uncontrolled inputs. Um, but it looks like you're about to bring in use state, which means we'll be controlling them. We'll be manually, or I don't know if that's manually, but we will directly the function itself will be controlling the value of the inputs, not just what people enter in there. And we'll explore what that means in a minute here.
Is that the method you were thinking that we're going to use controlled on these and then collect the
Yeah,
state and then send it to the endpoint eventually?
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep. Cool. So if we take um, so this is where I want to make a change to what you were doing here.
Yeah,
I want to make an on submit handler function.
that makes sense.
Okay. Do you have a preference for using like the function versus const equal, like creating it as a const function? Like
I like const functions, but I'm not married to
I
it either way. You
I
can
do
you can
too.
enter it the way you like.
We'd have to look into the differences. I was recently seeing some people talking about how using the function keyword is actually better in some ways, but not probably anything different for what we're doing. So,
I
um,
think if I'm remembering correctly, and I can look this up while you're doing, but I think if you declare it with const as opposed to function,
what am I
the
doing?
function
Wow.
keyword, you end up with a different level of scope when it comes
Yeah.
to referring to things with the keyword this.
Yeah, that's the main thing that's different, and I can't remember the last time I
Okay.
actually used this. Um,
Yeah, same.
so let's go down
I think
here
arrow functions
and
just look a bit
let's.
cleaner, personally,
Oops.
but I don't know.
Um, oh no, that's not what I want to do at all. Okay.
Next
So
step, delete app.
yeah, handle submit, and then go back up here, and then uh,
Prevent default. Yeah, you
yeah,
got it.
yeah. Brain fart. Okay, so gonna have prevent default and all that, and then that's gonna be our submit handler, and then up here we're gonna have let's say task name, set task name. Butterfingers, you get on camera and you become the worst typist ever. So here's a question that I've had, and I want to discuss with you.
Sure.
When you're doing a form, is it better to use an individual piece of state for each piece of your form, like this, or do you create one piece of state as an object and have properties within that object handle each piece of state from the form?
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a performance difference, but I would say from a readability standpoint, I think the object is maybe a stronger option. It's also really easy to update, even if you're only updating one property of that object. I don't know if you've done that before, but we can walk through that. But my preference would be for maintaining the like that whole form state inside one object.
I'm going
That
to
way,
do a little Google for a second, because this
okay,
is a question that I've been waiting to ask. Um, I'm trying to think about how
that's
to.
like for updating like should I store object? Here, I'll search it too.
I guess we could type into ChatGPT as well.
Should I store object inside use state or store several different states?
Because I've seen it done both ways, and I'm just curious if there is a best practice. I'm gonna go to the one AI tool that I actually use.
So it looks like there were changes made as of React 18. Um, it used to be that multiple different use states would would update separately, but now they're automatically batched, so there's no functional difference. Um, for what it's worth, this poster on Stack Overflow says it's probably good practice to keep related pieces together in the same state. Um, but if objects get much bigger, we should use reducer instead, which is
Oh,
not
now
a hook I have much experience with.
use reducer. That's another thing on my list, is really learning to understand um, use reducer. Use reducer or reducers in general. Something that is like a big old mystery to me.
One thing I'm thinking though, if if we have multiple different states to track, like multiple different, you'd have task name and task body and stuff like that. You'd have to call the set functions each time you're editing anyone individually,
Hmm.
and you might not like. There's a way, like let's say we had three different items that we're tracking.
Hmm.
There's a way to only update one of those items if only one is changed. Whereas I'm trying to figure out how you would do that if you have three separate states within the same call.
Yeah, I think
You'd
each
have to
time.
start implementing logic.
Uh, the thing that's coming to my mind is, let's say we were gonna let's say it's a you know let's say it is an object, and we're
Mm,
gonna set, but we only want to set uh, body and not name. So
Hmm.
then you'd have to spread like.
Yeah, there's actually you pass a function in instead. Um,
Oh, yep, the previous, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So let's say it would be like task data. That's right, yeah. Use prev, and then you do is it you spread the prev,
Exactly.
and then you would access, let's say, uh, task name. Not here. Yep, and then you would put your new value,
Exactly.
because this would be. Are we going to do it this way? Or are we going to do? Um,
I think I have this preference personally, but I'm open to, if you're passionate about the other way, I'm open to seeing what that's like and following it.
yeah. So then we would have task name and task body, like that.
Yes, and then that would mean that the handle submit, um, like so you have like task name inside of set task data. We'd have to
Yeah.
pass something that's dynamically generated, not like a specific. Um, it would be like property in brackets and then property value or something like that.
And actually, this isn't where this would be set either. Anyways, I'm just realizing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this is this. I think that's what you're maybe talking about right now. Is that so if we went down to like here for task body, we would do on change,
Hmm.
and then that's where you have the event, and then you would right here, right? Then we would set task data.
Yeah, and I would even say maybe we create a separate handler for that, like an on change handler.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be good.
And then actually, one thing we want to do before that is we probably want to. I think the way we do it is we manually assign the value property on each of these inputs to their corresponding property inside of the state.
Yeah, you have to two-way bind the data as well.
Right, right.
Forms are crazy. Like forms
I
take
know.
quite a bit of work just on their own. Um, so with this value, is that
Hmm. Yeah, that's
yep,
right.
value would be task data dot task body. Is that
I think
right?
so. Yeah, let's do some console logging and make sure that's the case.
Yeah. This is definitely something that I need to refresh on. So that's why I'm very okay to like wade through this. Um, so a handle change. I want to put that above here because we're probably
That
still
makes
going to need
sense.
E. Yeah, because it happens first, right?
It happens first and more often. So
Right,
handle submit to me also is like it's the last thing you do with this form.
right, right.
Yeah.
So if we have, okay, so we've got task data and task name, task body within that object, and then task data, task body, that's the value. So that should be two-way bound. Hopefully it's that simple. It's been a
Can
while,
we
like it's been a while since
can
I've
we
done this.
console log that just to make sure that that's actually working?
Yeah, we should. So let's see. So we wanna console log in the handle change then. Yeah.
Let me think. I think we could even do it outside of it potentially. Well, I don't know. Let's set it up inside the handle change. That makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, because something has a trigger, right? So the trigger
Yeah.
on the input is then going to trigger the console log. Oops, console log handle change. This is how I like to do console logs. Um,
Yeah. Label it and then put the value you're looking for.
yeah. So handle change task. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, we'll find out, and we'll probably find out that something here is broken, but,
I love it. Let's break everything,
let's
and
see.
then we'll fix it.
So we'll just get rid of all that, and then that was here. There it is. Yep, every time I do keystroke, we get the state, so that's coming through just fine. That makes sense. So
It's not
then
updating though, is it?
no, it's not, 'cause I didn't set it to update, so,
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
so then we do our set task data, and then we do our, like you were so wise to remember, our prev, and then our, um, we spread the prev, and then we update task body to be e.target.value.
So now we have to type the event, and
Yes.
this is where things get a little tricky.
Yeah, these event types are always, is it just event? Is it capital event, or is it just event? Form event? There's so many different ones. I wanna check that.
I
Um,
think it's I think there's multiple ways you can do it. It would be capital, definitely. I think it's like event, or event target or form event. But then the trick is when you're working with e.target.value is usually where the issue comes in.
yeah, we're gonna have to like do a conditional something or other, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Let's see. Try.
I'm gonna do an
Yeah,
AI
yeah.
tool again, just because it's a
Just
faster search. How do you
consult the oracle.
type a event? I don't know if I. Hopefully, it understands what I'm asking. Here we go. That's what we want. There's so many of these, and they're so okay. Oh, and they come in through React. Okay. I don't know. This may not be. This probably isn't the only way to do it. I specifically asked for a React type.
Hmm.
So we bring in React from React, and then down here we do React dot form event,
Hmm.
and then HTML form element.
Oh, we might want to do input element because
Okay.
because this is the change is happening on an input element. I don't know if that fixes things. Let's see. What's the issue? It says on value. Um,
Yeah. Let's see. Declaration or statement. Let's see. Okay, that's not. We want to do that, right?
I don't think so.
No, 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 no. Wait. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I'm sorry. Spreading the prev,
Mhm.
and then we have task body, declaration or statement expected.
Oh, task data dot task body probably, right? Oh no, because we're no. Never mind.
No, no, because we're
Because we're
inside.
already
We're
inside. Yeah.
inside of it. Yes, with the we're in the object. We're spreading.
After value, could you? What if we added? Are you familiar with the concept of type coercion,
Yeah,
like
as
as string?
but it's not a typing issue. It's a
Oh, it isn't. What's it
declaration
saying?
declaration or a statement expected. And then down at the bottom, it's saying here, task cannot find name task data. So
Interesting.
task name task body as
Let
a
me pull up another
default
project. I was just doing this last night,
set
actually.
task data. This is the learning. This is the learning. It's great.
This is the
Oh,
learning.
and we're actually a little bit past time now. Let's see,
Hey,
handle change task data. So because we just want to return the object, so this should be fine. What if we? Oh. It is the function is this is reading this as a function body.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So we have to do our return, and then now we're in. And then that value does not exist on type event target. I get that all the time, but it absolutely exists.
Oh, you know what it is? Why do I have it like this? If I remove this, hold on a moment. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. No.
Oh, I think I know. Sorry,
You
I'm
need to
gonna.
surround it with There it is. Oh no. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. That was
That
the
means
problem.
then it'll
Okay.
do it the
Perfect.
return instead of reading it as the body. Yeah, I went for the long-winded solution there, but this is actually the proper way. I don't know why that's still read. Okay.
Okay. And so this is where one thing that would help, I think, is so above set task data, above this function call. I think what we want to do is define e.target.
Okay.
Just see
Yeah.
how I could, yeah. Where was I? And e.target is essentially, like in this case, HTML input element. And then from there, you should be able to do target.value, and it should work. And then you would remove HTML input element from that typing, but leave form event, I think.
So we do this, and then what?
Yes.
Sorry.
Then you could do like const target equals e.target, and then as HTML input element.
Okay, that's a new pattern to me.
And then just target.value. Let's see if that works inside of
Yep.
this. Yeah, exactly. Does it like?
Okay, I think so. I'm getting this weird.
Parsing error expected.
I don't know why it's expecting. Because this is, I don't know, do I need a semicolon? Okay, hold on. I think, yeah, because we're passing. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
I was missing a closing parenthesis around to match from here.
That's right. That's almost always what causes that error for me. It's either bracket or parenthesis.
Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting here. So defining what target is
Well,
separately.
basically,
Yeah.
as I understand it, we're declaring that e.target is going to be an input HTML input element, or we are going
Right.
to treat it as such no matter what.
Right.
And HTML input elements do have values,
Right.
which is
Okay.
why
Yep.
we can just get the target.value.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to be super fancy, you could deconstruct the value. Like instead of const target, you do const brackets value, and then you could just like
Oh yeah.
put that in. Don't have to do
Oh
that, but
yeah. So
I
like
love fancy. You put value here, just
oh
the word
it's
though.
just the value. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay. Again, failing at Vim like that.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah. I love exploring little syntactical things like that. Okay.
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we're destructuring the
Yep.
value from
E dot
this
target.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yep. and because
The
then we don't have
brackets
to do
mean
it
we're
here.
we're taking value from e.target. Yeah,
Yep.
it's wonderful just because it keeps things easy to read.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why we have to like we're defining E as this. Why we have to now define E dot target as well? Why that does not inherit from up here?
Hmm. Right. I think it's because we're coercing. It's because we're saying we are confident this is going to be an HTML input element, whereas above we're really just suggesting inside
Right.
of
Well,
the
we had HTML input up here, right?
yeah, and I think this is more like a suggestion, but as I understand it, I could be wrong, but I think TypeScript doesn't really know that for sure e.target dot value is going to exist in this
Right.
case.
Okay.
But when we've already told it, hey, e.target is going to be this kind of element, it can just assume that, and it doesn't have to worry about whether that's going to exist or not.
Okay.
I think, you know,
Okay. So
viewers
we've
out
got
there,
our.
check me on that.
No, this is good, and this is some good TypeScript stuff as well. Always need to learn more about TypeScript. There's so much there. Okay, so we got our handle change, which we know triggers on each input change for our input, and now we're grabbing the new value coming from that coming from the event. We get the change, we grab the value, and then we're updating our state object here on each change. So now, if we come back over here. Okay, so it's working, but it didn't
Yeah.
take my first one.
Well, I think your console log is before the change, potentially.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Oh man, yes. Now that good job.
And does this work even? I've had trouble with this before. I think it always
It's
gets the
not.
last one. If
I think.
you hold on, if you put the console log outside of the function, like drop it one line lower, let's see if that changes things.
Interesting. We're gonna get the double, but yes, it does.
Okay, yeah.
That's fine because
So
that
it's
just has to
correctly
do with the
working.
rendering. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
working correctly, and we're getting to see what we're looking for. Um, yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 So we've got our. Well, we can update this and change it and whatnot. Let's see. Is there any? Um, put that there, and yeah, I mean, there's more to add. We can obviously make it a lot prettier. I'm not really in love with like task name, task body, all of this. Like, I think there'd be a
Mhm.
better naming convention for what we want. Maybe I don't know. We could figure that out. But that was valuable. I really am glad that we went through those steps for
Me
just
too.
two-way binding and React again.
Yeah, that's a solid start to our to do app. Soon enough, we'll actually be able to use this list to set next week's goals.
Yeah, we should. We should absolutely do that. Um, yeah, this is my React fundamentals are rusty. I will admit it in public right here. I'm actively trying to get a job as a React developer, so maybe that's not the best thing um, uh, to admit to in public. But that's one of the reasons that I'm here is because I need to brush up on these fundamentals. Um,
You know,
really
it's funny.
quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I was working on this exact problem for a couple hours last night on a separate project I'm working on. So I'm lucky. I'm the benefactor of of having just recent experience.
Yeah, so now that's why you look like the genius, and I look like the
Well,
scrub.
obviously you just do this and that. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, how many times, yeah, you open up the last project you did something in. It's like it worked there. How did I do that again? Let me go open that repo real quick and steal that code. Absolutely. So so we're gonna close here. But before we do, I wanna throw out this one thing that I'm seeing a bit of frustration. I'm experiencing frustration in the like the job search and skill development world,
Hmm.
where as developers, uh, I'll say myself. I started out learning the fundamentals, right? I learned my React, my JavaScript, a bunch of JavaScript, and then moved on to React. And in my React course, we built forms, we built pages, we did all the like the fundamental React stuff, right? Um, and then you move on and you discover libraries, and it's like, oh, material UI, wow, this just has all the components for me, I don't have to build these anymore. You start using that, you learn about Formic, which handles all this form stuff and state management and
Mm.
validation and all of that completely for you. Formic is awesome. But it abstracts all of that away, right? Now, on the professional level, on day to day as a working developer, those tools make you productive, right? Because imagine, we need libraries, because imagine you start a new app for a company and you have to build a new front end framework every time from the ground up. Like, that's just, it's unrealistic, right? That's why we have React.
Yeah.
That's why we have Formic. That's why we have all these things. So, trying to get closer and closer to professional level, you're using more and more libraries. But what does that mean? That means you're not practicing the fundamentals every day, building forms, handling state manually like this, and all that. So the frustrating piece that I encountered a couple of weeks ago is the idea of needing to be able to do this for a technical interview.
Mm.
Um, and because I've been away and I've been building apps using libraries, which is what you would do in a professional setting, my fundamentals were bad and I did not do well in the technical because of that. So it's this catch 22. It's like, to get the job, and in the job, if you get this job, you will be using libraries day in and day out to do your job. But to get the job, you have to do it without a library. But
Right.
in order to get the job, you have to be at a professional level. So you're practicing with libraries, but then to get past the technical, you have to be able to do it manually. You see the problem here.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that really frustrated me. And I'm not one that's complaining about, oh, the job search is too tough and why do we have to do technicals. It's not that at all, because I understand you need to understand how to do the fundamentals. You have to understand your fundamental CSS. Like, I love Tailwind, it makes me faster and more productive, but you have to know how to do vanilla CSS, or you should, because it'll make you a better developer. You should understand how to do a basic React form and handle the state manually and all of that, because it'll make
Mm.
you a better developer. Or you need those skills when you really dig into a bug or a problem on an app or a site. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't ever have to touch fundamentals, and why we have libraries to do that. Why do we have to learn that? That's not the conversation at all. It's just, I think it's unavoidable. It's just that frustration of using libraries to do professional work, but then being asked to do the manual fundamentals for the interview, and having, both sides of having both sides of that coin at your fingertips, right? And that's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, that is tough. I've seen a lot of stories on LinkedIn, and sometimes on Reddit even, but about people that interview junior devs, and they come to the interview and they're not familiar even with like basic JavaScript methods, things
Mm.
like dot map
Oh,
or
yeah.
filter or what have you. And reason being that some people, at least according to these stories, they start building from a framework perspective, and so they get to know the framework, but not necessarily the language underlying it and the methods available to you like natively within JavaScript. So I guess that's maybe a case for why they would need you to be able to do these things and understand what's happening under the hood. I I'll say it is frustrating though. It's a lot of knowledge to have. And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, some of it is computer science, some of it is data structures and algorithms, but some of it is just familiarity with a language or even just with
Patterns.
design patterns. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's what we do.
and there's
The
one
job
side of,
search is a lot of things.
yeah, it is. It is. And I feel like I have a pretty good, like, pinpoint, like, awareness of a lot of different concepts. And if I run into an issue, I can go look that up, right? And that's the point of documentation. Developers are constantly looking up, because you can't hold every library's API, every single method, all of those in your head all at the same time. So that's why we have documentation that we use to look up. Um, but then you're at the point of technical interview, you are required a bit more to just have a bit more of that, or you have to be able to do it quickly under a time constraint, which was my thing. So yeah, it's
It
it's
is
just this
strange. It's like a
weird.
lot of things that are like, your job will not be like this, but to make sure you're ready for the job, but do it like this. Be
Yeah.
under a time constraint, no resources to look up outside. I mean,
Well, I could look up
seems silly.
I think I could look up resources, or I've been in interviews before where they're like, yeah, you
Oh,
can look stuff up, but obviously it's faster to just know it. Um,
that's true.
which I, you do things enough times, you memorize them and you get better at that. But as a junior developer, as someone that's a bit more new to it, you have less memorized than somebody who's more senior. Um, and I know that there's a huge discussion about people always talking about like, oh, the interview process for developers is broken, and that's a constant back and forth. And that's not really what I'm here talking about. It's just like just airing that idea of having the fundamentals, but then what you need and you should have, but then with limited time, I guess, to practice every scope of development. Being able to have your fundamentals and be working on production level products and whatnot.
Yeah, I've had a couple interviews that were under the format of, like, you get, what do you call it? You get, like, an invitation to their repo, and you basically have to clone down the repo, start the app, get it working, and then from the README, there are certain things they want you to accomplish.
Mhm.
And that makes a lot more sense to me because that's essentially what you would be doing on the job.
Yeah.
You're going to come into somebody else's repo if it already is an existing project. You have to get your developer environment set up, get everything running to a certain point, and then you make changes to that, according to what it is that's needed. And that, as long as it's not too extensive. I mean, I don't think everyone should be building full stack applications for for interviews,
Yeah.
but at least that's more along the lines of like, what do I do when I do this job? What am I actually, what will be expected of me? I like that method because that way you get a chance to see what someone can actually do for you. If you're not going to have me
Hmm.
building arrays from from scratch, then why worry about that right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you have to go, or do you have one more minute? Because that just made me think of one more thing.
I have one more minute.
Okay.
I have
Just
multiple
the
one more minutes.
well, the idea of that process one also tests your ability to use Git at least basically a little bit, which is
Mhm.
nice. And also, I think I would much prefer, if it was more standard practice to allow interviewees to use their custom development environment.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, I'm a NeoVim guy, so that means a little bit, but everybody has a space in which they are comfortable. And I have now had a couple of technical interviews within like browser IDEs, and I cannot hate those things anymore. They like they don't they don't function well. You have your code split into these tiny little boxes. Like, um, it's just not a good environment for productivity, or
Yeah,
for it's
it's a
not
little
comfortable,
confusing too.
which I guess is,
Often.
maybe you could say, well, we want to test how do you react under a little stressful or uncomfortable environment. Which I guess you can maybe get some information from that, but again, is that what the job is, or is the job me sitting in front of my very comfortable development environment doing work? So I like the idea of pulling down a GitHub repo to my local machine and just doing it, but then there's I guess, cheating problems with that. I think there's a bunch of anti-cheat that these in-browser IDEs try to implement as well. So people aren't just like ripping ChatGPT answers and putting them in there. And I don't know. It's a whole bunch of things to solve or not solve. Bunch of trade-offs. Really, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
And you're sticking to them. I like
Yeah.
it.
Well, thanks, Courtney, for sticking with me there for a little extra conversation. But
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. Always, always a good hang. And next week maybe we'll get to the point where we're actually storing to do items.
yeah, I mean, we have to discuss, like, if we want to do an hour a week, this is going to go very slowly.
Yeah,
Which
this
is
is
maybe
true.
what
This
it
is true.
is, but, maybe we could look at going multiple times a week or something, who knows, but, um, yeah, I'm gonna end the LinkedIn stream here, so thank you for everybody for viewing, this has been great, and then we'll hold on the huddle room for, like, just a moment. Alright,
Take care, everyone.
see you next time, thanks for viewing. Okay, so I wanted to try that pattern this time to try and just end on LinkedIn first before. Yeah, sorry if I held this a bit over time, I apologize if you,
No,
uh
you're good. Things are calm over here. I have
it's Friday, right?
no repeat. That's right. It's Friday.
Cool.
It's
Well, that
Friday,
that
and I've already pushed code up to a repo. I got my green dot for the day.
there you go. There
It's
you
not
go.
not even noon over here.
Love it. Love it. That was a lot of fun. That was cool. I liked that one.
Me too.
Um Good stuff.
Me too. We touched on a lot of things, and honestly, it's interesting having to go through all that. Like the things that we did today, I've like done that 2, 3 times probably at this point, and it still feels so difficult to wade through every time.
Yeah,
Every time.
yeah. A fun thing to do as like I don't know, as an episode or a separate episode or whatever we would want to do. It would be kind of fun to like outline basically like an interview type of situation, like build a React form or something, and then we could each race to see who could get it done first.
Okay, okay.
But just to do the practice of having to do it from memory, right? Like a couple of times to help it sink in. In music, like you play the same pattern 30
Right.
times, 50 times to like really learn it. Doing it once, you're like, okay, you did it once. But I tell all my students, I can't remember who I heard this from, but it was you don't practice it until you can do it right. You practice it until you can't do it wrong.
Mhm. I like that. Yeah, I've heard that
Right? So
before,
so
and that's totally true.
the idea of us sitting down and being like, okay, build who can build and rebuild a React form 3 times the fastest?
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Like, when I was in, boot camp, my instructor said, "This is all confusing now, but when you finish this boot camp, continue building projects, and, like, when you've built 20 servers, it's gonna be, like, very easy to get one started and get the design pattern, set up because you've done it so much, you know what's needed. You know that when I do for a form, for instance, I'm gonna have inputs, I'm gonna have a submit function, I need to handle the change, handle the submit. Like, the things we just did today are, like, everybody that builds a form has to do some version of that, has to attend to their form in such a way. So, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
the more we do it, the less we're gonna spend those moments like, so what do I do next? Like, what is the next thing?
Or how do you type that again?
Yeah,
Or
how
is
do
it
you
e
tell?
dot target dot value? Yeah, all that. Like that'd be
I'm
kind
not
of
even sure, honestly, if the type coercion is the right thing to do. I know that it works,
mhm.
but I'm not sure if that's, like, what we're supposed to do.
It feels verbose to me to have to use two types on that
Mm,
event. Like I feel like there's a better way, but I could be wrong.
mhm.
And that would maybe be a little bit of homework to check out.
Because I feel like every time I run into this event thing, I run into this problem, and it's unclear to me, like, what is the right way to do this? And is there a best practice, a standard way? Because you would think this is something that happens enough to where, like, the code has been cracked and we know what to do.
Um,
I've been building this drop down component for my stat tracking website just for, like, I have a leaderboard, and I can return different results based on, like, if someone wants to see, like, results only from a certain region or from a different leaderboard or whatever. I'm building drop downs so that when they select something new, it updates the table.
okay.
My first thought was I wanted to use just Tailwind has, like, components that you can kind of just copy and and enter into your app. And I've done that for a couple things because I didn't really want to have to build a drop down from scratch. But unfortunately, those components don't work very well. If you're not in a vanilla like HTML, CSS, JavaScript page, because it's built so that it's basically built utilizing that design pattern. It's not built with Next or React or whatever in mind. So I ended up building one from scratch, and that's what I'm in the middle of now.
I built a bunch of components, inputs and select boxes and multi-select boxes and forms and stuff for my Candide project a while back. I built all those up from scratch. That was a great experience. It was a lot of fun
Yeah,
actually building
yeah,
UI elements purely from scratch. Um, I learned a lot doing that. It's time consuming, but
super time consuming.
then
I
you
was
actually
wondering
have
if you
complete
wanted to.
control on how the animations are going to go, like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the options are going to be,
consistent
how to do
styling also.
how to do all of that. It's a fun experience actually. I really liked it.
I'm down eventually to maybe refactor some of these things so that, like, um, yeah, I don't know if we should do that so early, but, like, we should probably have input components that we've built that follow our pattern, and then buttons that follow our pattern, and so on. It gets hard because you want to create them so that they can be used in multiple situations, which means that there's a certain, like pattern that you have to implement. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should build
It's
some of
nice
our.
once it's
We should definitely build some of our own UI elements. Absolutely, I think that'd be really fun. Like, I mean, I intend for the to do app, like each to do item is going to have its own like card or box, right? That's going to have styling within it. Like that's going to be a component that we'll reuse for every item. The form we can customize the buttons. We can do all of that. I just asked Find about the thing you were talking about, um, real quick here, um, and it gave me this type, which I think is where we were closer at the beginning before we changed to form event, because uh, so this actually
Oh,
gives a
change event.
change event
Okay.
with the input, and now you don't need that extra coercion.
Oh, nice. You can also pull a change event from the next to use state, on the import, so you
Just
don't have
here,
to have yeah, so you don't have to have that React dot.
nice. There you go. Yeah, learning this kind of pattern too, just like where to go grab your types from.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, coding is so much of a like you have every tool you could possibly imagine at your disposal, but you don't know it exists.
Yeah, totally.
You don't know that it exists. Like until
Damn, I'm
you
gonna
find it or you see it or you research it. Like there's everything at your fingertips, but you don't know that it even is present until you know clearly. But like that blew my mind when I was first learning stuff. And it
I'm
was
gonna take what you just did and use that myself.
yeah, absolutely. Should maybe even make a we could talk maybe we start out by talking about this next time.
Yeah, I'm down for
Start
that.
next stream, um, talking about updated,
You
um,
found this from you found this from
find.com.
find.com.
PHIND.
Oh, show me. What's the deal with find.com?
PHIND. I think, again, I have not actually gone and researched it, but I believe it is a layer on top of ChatGPT that is doing prompting.
Oh,
So you give it your prompt, and then it's doing other prompts to give you much better readable um, outputs at the end, and it does a really good job of finding you the code answers you're looking for.
okay. And then you just did HTML. What am I using this on? I'm using this on a select element. Oh, yeah, let's go. That's way better.
Eliminates that entire line of having to. I mean, you don't have to destructure. You can still
Yeah, I don't
destructure
have
if
to.
you want, but you don't have to destructure. You don't have to coerce.
Yeah, I like that it eliminates the coercion.
Yep.
That's the thing I prefer.
Yeah.
Okay, because coercion to me feels a little bit like you're just doing type any.
Well, you're what you're doing is you're instead of type any and saying it could be anything, you're saying it is this thing, right? You're
Right,
forcing. It's like a exclamation point important in CSS. It's like do
right,
this, take this as truth, which is
and that might
sometimes
be
just
true.
necessary.
That might be true in this case. That we can confidently assert it will be this, but I'm not
Or
sure that
or
that's
you
the
can
safest design
or
pattern.
like I mean the TypeScript version of that is like putting a. I'm not
The
sure if it would
question
go
mark.
there or there.
Oh, what's the exclamation do here?
At the I'm trying to remember. So I think if we didn't have this, um, uh, oh, now it's not gonna. Okay, well, let's try that React dot form event again because that gave us the error. So, um, oops, there. Now, see, value does not exist on type event target, right? And
Right,
then I think what you can do is it at the beginning? No, it's not, it's at the end because if you put it at the beginning, it negates it, right? Ah, shoot. There we go. No, maybe not.
What
No,
does
okay.
it do though? Like, what's the
What it
what is?
does is it's you saying, maybe I can't use it in this instance, but it's you saying you're telling the compiler, no, this will be the thing I'm saying it is.
Oh, I didn't know
Or
that.
or or like oftentimes it says like something doesn't exist. You're saying no, it will exist.
So, and that's different from the question mark, and that the question mark is saying,
If it
like, if
exists,
this exists.
then
Okay.
X. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
this, right? But this isn't working here, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's been a while since I've
Wait.
used.
So instead of that, do React dot change event in the typing for the event, but don't add the HTML thing. Maybe that works there.
Does not exist on type, event, target, and element.
And I guess it still doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Still doesn't like that. I swear someone could probably write a library just for handling event typing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we
Event
should do
typing is
that.
tricky. That's definitely a tricky subject.
We should
So
just be
we,
the
we
experts on event typing and then write our own library.
there you
And,
go.
they,
There
and
you go.
somehow get Vercel to accept that as part of their next package.
There we go. Yeah. Or even just a course on it, or some blog posts, even just like digging
Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
into event typing and like maybe just some principles about it, or some higher level, like where to even go looking for those things. Like, oh, this comes from React. Okay, why is it coming from React? Like, why isn't this coming from TypeScript or from Next? Or you just have to know which library your typings are going to come out of. We're in Next, but we're using React typings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Anyways, we've been recording this whole time, which I think is fantastic. So now we have behind the scenes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
Wait, can I ask you to check something? Can you
sure.
see the comments on our LinkedIn event? For some reason, it's not loading for me anymore.
Uh,
Like I saw them at one point, and then it just stopped.
okay. Do 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 do.
It says 9 comments. I left one. I think you left two.
Here.
Oh, maybe you left a few more.
Ah,
Brave browser.
okay. So yeah, we got some people commenting in, which is awesome. This is so cool. But we didn't handle this in real time because I was looking at the live event page, and these were not popping in. So I wonder, how do you view your active? Let's see. Um,
If you're
oh, this
watching
is
the
because
stream
this is
while
a
we're doing it,
post. This is a post.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
not the event itself. No, it is, because this is come join us in the huddle, and here's the thing. That's what I put on, and then this. So I left these three in the UI for LinkedIn Live, but the rest of these did not pop up while I was. They didn't pop up on my screen. Huh. That's frustrating because I really would like to be reacting to those live. Okay, so we'll learn things while we're doing all this. Um, status. Okay, get. Let's see. Is this how I want to push it up? Yeah, we'll just. Yeah, get push set upstream origin Spencer. There. Now it should be. Get wait.
Oh, I can repost this also. That's good. Oh, we had a repost. Who did this? Oh, it was you.
Okay. Oh. Oh my goodness. I need to commit. So add on change handler.
Giant commit.
Yeah, just all of that under one. I know. I'm like I said, I'm terrible at the atomic committing. because I get in the mindset of like doing, and I just start seeing the connections, and I just start hitting the
Mm,
connections, and then if I to break that, which is my productivity stream, I have to stop building a thing to then do commits, and it just does not feel good to me. So I tend to
yeah.
commit. I add my commits. Um, like I try to add sections and lines to individual commits. So once I have the whole thing, then I'll break that up into smaller commits instead of doing it as I'm moving through it.
I forgot if we've talked about this, but in my boot camp, they were really big on atomic commits. But then as soon as I got to my first job, they're like, "No, we don't. Just get it all in there. Don't worry about atomic commits or whatever." I was like, "Okay, great. Now I'm in production, and we're not doing it the standard way."
No best practices here. Okay. Well, we've been going and going. I'm gonna stop our live. I also